Hello, good evening everyone. Welcome to the News Today edition of 1st of October, wherein we try and make all important news of the day in the most simplest format for you guys to understand. So let's look at the important topics which we're going to cover today. First is India-European Union Free Trade Association Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement is going to come into effect from today, that is 1st of October. NCRB has released accidental death and suicides in India 2023 report. Then a 6-member payments regulatory board has been constituted by Reserve Bank of India. Scientists have urged the caution over polar geoengineering projects as a climate solution. And lastly, NCRB again report has highlighted increase in accidental related fatalities in India. We're also going to cover place in news, that is Philippines, along with quick updates today. So the very first news, India-European Union Free Trade Association Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement is going to come into effect from today, that is 1st of October. Very important agreement as far as the trade relations or international trade relations with the current geopolitical considerations are being concerned. Again, very important topic for your GS paper number 2, that is international treaties, agreements, and also some part of maybe you can relate to paper number 3. Right, so let's look at, it is very important to understand the basic terms, facts, what are there as per this agreement. Number one is, what does TEPA stands for? TEPA is basically stands for Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement. This is something which India has done with European Union, that is European Free Trade Association. Right, so this European Free Trade Association consists of 4 countries, that is Switzerland, Norway, Iceland and Liechtenstein, right? So again, in this, among all these 4 countries, Switzerland is a country, it's India's biggest trading partner among the 4 countries which are a part of EFTA. This EFTA as a body was constituted in the year 1960 through Stockholm Convention. Again, such facts you need to remember as far as prelims examination is concerned. And again, these 4 countries which are a part of EFTA are not under the European Union. Clear? So that is the basic facts around the organization and the group of countries which are there. Then in this agreement, what has been done, they have told there are certain binding promises that again, we are going to invest $100 billion in India, and again that is again going to create 1 million direct jobs in the next 15 years. And again, it is some special thing about the agreement is that it is not just a commitment, it is something which they have told that again it is a binding thing, that again binding convention which is specifically trying that again we are making sure that again whatever we have promised, we are going to do it as far as the trade commitment is concerned. That is a unique feature of this particular agreement. Then what are the key features? Number one is goods, that is the market access. What exactly is this? What is market access? Let's say a products from Indian country is going to enter into EFTA, so there the barriers are reduced. And again, similarly, the products which are coming from those countries to India, barriers are removed. So under this good export import is concerned, what has India done for Indian products or Indian exports which are going to enter into those 4 countries, there is 100% access which has been given. So there is no, let's say, any imposition of any other tariff, non-tariff barriers. So technically, complete access has been given to all Indian exports. In fact, non-agricultural products is there. What has India given? How has Indian market or those countries have got access of Indian market? So India has not completely opened the market because we are going to respect the farmers, the traders in the country itself. That is where India has protected its sensitive sectors. For example, dairy, coal, pharma, medical devices, soya, right? So again, we have not completely opened, but again, we have substantially opened the market access to those 4 countries as well as per this particular agreement. Then as far as services and mobility are concerned, so again, as I discussed, we are planning to create jobs as well. So again, services basically transfer of services. So under this particular agreement, boost is given to information technology, business services, education. And there is one agreement which has been signed, that is mutual recognition of agreements. For example, let's say many times we must have felt Indian nurses, architects, or doctors, or chartered accountants, they have maybe degrees which are given by Indian universities. Majority of the time, they are not accepted as far as employment of those specific professions is concerned in certain countries. So under this agreement, all the nurses, chartered accountants, architects, their degrees will be validated and they will be given jobs in the respective 4 countries. Then what we have done, modes of services trade. What exactly is this? Because service is again is an important parameter of this particular agreement. So there are 3 modes. Number one, mode 1, that is a delivery of digital services. So technically, let's say if an Indian company in Bangalore is making a software, right? So that software is again handed over to a company in those 4 countries or EFTA countries. So that kind of service delivery is called as digital mode of service delivery. So we are not directly crossing the borders. Through a digital or online mode, we are delivering that particular service. That is mode number 1. What is mode number 3? Mode number 3 is that again, let's say a software company in India, if it is opening its a company in that particular 4 countries of EFTA, so again, that is called as mode number 3, that is commercial presence of that particular country in that area. Then the mode 4 is movement of professionals. So again, for service delivery, if engineers, if doctors, if teachers are moving to such countries, that is called as movement of professionals. So all of these as a part of service trade agreement has been done in this particular agreement with this EFTA. Then we have tariff. So again, is a very important component of trade. So tariff are basic taxes which are imposed whenever a product from country A enter into country B. So under this particular agreement, India has made sure that again the chemicals and allied products, which is comprising of 95% of India's export, right? If India is exporting 100 products, 95% of them are chemical and allied products. So they have been given a 0 tariff status. So very important boost to as far as the trade of these particular products are concerned. And in fact, India has also reciprocated that again, out of 80% of the major products which are imported from those countries, there has been a reduction of tariffs. So again, India has opened up 80% of its tariff lines. So again, which is again covering 95% of what this EFTA is exporting to India. So again, we have done maybe equally, but again, India is somewhere on a slightly upper side as far as the tariff parameter is concerned. Then we have intellectual property rights, right? So again, we have seen that many a times this IPR comes into the domain whenever we talk about the production of generic medicines in India. So right, so what they have told that again we are going to follow a standard rules and regulation as per the TRIPS, and we are not going to go beyond this TRIP regulation as far as IPR regulations are being conducted. It is going to protect India's generic medicines and again going to prevent the evergreening of patents, because many times with the smallest tweak in the process, patents were renewed again and again. So that is something we have told we are not going to do that. That is something, a good effort in the domain as far as India has a huge manufacturing of generic medicines. And then along key export areas, for example, better access to textiles, engineering, goods, and processed foods, all of this has been done as per this particular agreement. Then, why is TEPA important for India as of now, right? Number one is, it is seen as a model agreement because it is balancing what? Trade is something which is there, but again, what commitment has been done? That again, we are giving you in guarantee that again, we are going to invest and create jobs in the next 15 years in India. That is something, a binding thing which they have told. Then it is again going to strengthen the whole idea of Make in India, the whole idea of Atmanirbharta or Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is again going to help Indian professionals to move abroad and work in advanced economics. It is going to open up high value export markets for Indian products, right? So again, many a times Indian exporters are going to get a very free access to the entire 4 countries of EFTA with reduced tariffs as well. And then this, we are going to create India EFTA desk, which is again a single window support system for a smooth investments, which is going to be done as per this agreement in India, right? So very important component. Whenever we talk about EFTA, what are those in terms of trade relations? The growing tension around the trade is, again, you must have seen with this whole imposition of tariffs by US government. This is something which how India has progressed, and again how India has been dealing with multiple countries for more such agreements. Very important part for your examination. Again, you can use these topics or maybe the agreement in the answer writing as far as any question related to this particular topic will be concerned. The next topic is NCRB, National Crime Records Bureau, has released a report which is talking about accidental deaths and suicide rates in India. So again, this is something we are going to discuss this respective news in 2 components. In this news, we are going to cover up the suicide component. In one other news, we are going to cover the accidental death component, right? So very important topic, because again, direct questions is not going to be asked from the report, but again, you can use the data's the points which has been discussed in this particular in this report to substantiate your answers in the mains answer writing. I'll give you one example as well, that again how a mains question could be solved or could be written by using points which has been discussed in this particular report. Again, very important for your GS paper number 1, that is population and associated issues, right? And then paper number 2, that is health against suicide. So what exactly this report has highlighted? This has told that again, as far as suicide rates in India is concerned, or suicides in India is concerned, the suicide rate has decreased. So total number of suicides has increased slightly by 0.3% as compared to 2022, but the rate of suicide has decreased. The number of suicides have increased by 0.3%, but the rate at which suicide rate was increasing has decreased. Clear? So the suicide rate, which is per lakh population, which was initially maybe high, it has decreased by 0.8%, right? So that is how it has been done. Again, it is showcasing one more thing, that again population growth has outpaced the number of suicides, again a component of this. And it has also told if we compare urban versus rural suicides, so in cities we are again seeing more suicide rates, and more suicides are happening in urban areas as compared to rural areas, right? Again, you can tell me that again what are the possible reasons, because society is a very important component. And again, as far as if you look at the previous year questions of UPSC from GS paper number 1 society, the questions are very generic in nature, right? But again, you need to substantiate, you need to write down points in a manner which is going to validate whatever you're writing in the answers. Then where suicide rates are high, as per the suicide rate, not the numbers, the suicide rates are high in these basic cities, that is Andaman and Nicobar Islands, followed by Sikkim and Kerala. In terms of the volume of suicides, the number of suicides, they are happening mostly in Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, West Bengal. Maybe these kind of facts could be asked in your prelims examination. Then who exactly is affected? Again, very strangely, you're going to come across that again, if we compare suicide rates among men and women, men constitute, out of 100 suicides, 73% of suicides are done by men and 27% are done by women. So what exactly it is highlighting as far as maybe suicide rate as with the idea of gender is concerned? That could be a possible question in mains examination, right? Then as far as the farmer suicides are concerned, it is somewhere around 6.3% of total number of suicides. And in fact, 0 farmer suicides have been reported in West Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, Jharkhand, Himachal Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh and Goa. Tell me that again, if 0 farmer suicides are there, agriculture is a state subject. So what does it imply? That again, the agricultural policies are favoring more to farmers as compared to other states where again, we are seeing farmer suicide happening. Then we have major causes. Again, this report has also highlighted what are the major causes of suicides in India. Number one is family problems. So family problems other than marriage. So 32% of the suicides are done due to family problems. Illness or the health issues is constituting 19% of suicides. Drug and alcohol addiction 7%. Marriage related issues 5%. Love affairs 4.7%. Bankruptcy, debt 3.8%, unemployment 1.8%, and failure in exams 1.4%. Right? So basically the majority of suicides are happening due to family issues and health issues, which this report has again highlighted. Then there are many steps which has been taken up by government to tackle the problem of suicides in India. Number one is National Suicide Prevention Strategy, which was launched in the year 2022, which is again trying to reduce the suicide rates in India by 10% by 2030. That is a target. We have Telemanas, which is a free helpline number, 24/7 helpline number, which is going to counsel any person who is having any mental health issues. Very important. Again, very good step after government as far as mental health is concerned. We have National Mental Health Program, which is a decentralized mental health services, maybe at the very primary level of healthcare. This program has been implemented. And then we have Manodarpan app, you must have heard, that is Education Ministry has led, because many times, as I discussed, exam related suicides are also there. It is telling what? That students are in pressure. So again, Education Ministry has launched this app, that is the Manodarpan app, which is going to counsel students psychologically in terms of students, teachers, and families as far as students and their education related pressures are concerned, right? So again, these kind of news gives you data around very or maybe important social issues, which is again an important component of GS paper number 1, society, right? So again, use them, understand them, analyze them. If suicide rates are higher in some cities or maybe in some states, what could be the possible reasons? What, again, this is your analysis part. One question was there, I'll tell you that again, why suicide among young women is increasing in Indian society. This report has told what? 73% suicides are with men and 27 are from females. Out of those 27%, there's again a report which tells that young women are maybe taking their lives more as compared to other women. So again, suicides among young women are rising. What could be the possible solution or reasons? So maybe we can discuss about many things, like say the whole changing lifestyle, or we can talk about the work-life balance situation. So many other things which you see generally in society or you feel it, that is something could be written on this kind of answers. So these kind of reports gives a scope that again, what nature of questions could be framed as far as this topic of society is concerned. The next topic is 6-member Payments Regulatory Board has been constituted by Reserve Bank of India. We're going to discuss what is Payments Board, what are its component, what is composition. Again, an important component of your GS paper number 3. And generally, these kind of topics are very much important as far as prelims-based questions are concerned. So let's see. So what has happened? So earlier, the Payment Board was named as Board for Regulation and Supervision of Payment and Settlement Systems in India, that is BPSS. What is Payment Settlement System? Let's say if you order a food from Zomato, right? So you go in the payment page, you make the payment, that is happening to a third-party app. Maybe you pay through Google, let's say Google Play, or you may be Google Pay, you may pay through, let's say, Phone Pay or UPI or Paytm, any other app. So that leads you to a payment system. So that payments need to be settled, and that process is called as Payment Settlement System. So recently RBI is the one who has created a board, that is Payments Regulatory Board, who is going to regulate all such major payments happening in the country in different financial sectors, and it is coming under Reserve Bank of India. The idea is to regulate and supervise all payment systems in India, for example like UPI, NEFT, RTGS, card networks, all of those. Basic fact. Then in terms of why and what is the composition of this particular payment board, such nature of facts are important as far as prelims examination is concerned, because they can ask you who is a member, who is a chairperson, who is an ex officio member, things like that. So as far as this particular board is concerned, section 3 of the Payment and Settlement Systems Act is talking about what is the composition of this particular board. The composition consists of, number one, the governor of RBI is the chairperson of this board, that is the ex officio. Ex officio means by the virtue of him being the chairman or the governor of RBI, he automatically becomes the chairman of this particular board. Then the deputy governor of Reserve Bank of India is in the charge of payment and settlement systems, is the again an ex officio member. One officer of Reserve Bank, again, it is going to be nominated by Central Board of Reserve Bank as an ex officio member, any member from RBI, again nominated by a particular board. Then there are 3 central government nominated persons who are specialized in the fields of payment system, IT, cyber security, and law. This is the basic composition, and all of the meetings which is going to be held of this payments regulatory board, there is going to be a principal legal advisor of RBI who is going to be a permanent invitee to such meetings. He is not a member, but again an invitee, very important fact. And then RBI can also invite other experts as and when required in this particular board meeting. Again, they are not a member, they are coming on an ad hoc basis if needed. So again, this is a basic composition. Then the rules and terms. So this board is usually again, it is of course constituted for 4 years, and it is not renewed. It is again constituted in a fresh manner. So term is of 4 years. And again, if any person wants to resign, he has to serve a notice period of 6 weeks. Then what are the reasons and what are the maybe points of disqualification or the grounds of disqualification? If any person is above 70 years of age, if he is maybe in discharge insolvent, or he has been convicted for a particular offense for more than 180 days, or he is an MP, MLA, or many other disqualifications are there to become a member of this particular board. Then the meetings, they are meeting 2 times a year, and the quorum, that is the minimum amount of presence of members required, is 3, which includes the chairman. If chairman is not present, then again deputy chairman has to be present, that is the governor or the deputy governor, plus 1 nominated member has to be there under the quorum of 3 members. The decisions are taken by majority of votes, that is simple majority present and voting. And if in case of ties, the chairman is going to cast the casting vote. If chairman is not present, then the deputy governor, that is going to take the casting vote, right? And again, that is the deciding vote. Basic facts, nothing much to discuss over here. Then what exactly is this Payment and Settlement Systems Act of 2007? So again, this act has basically authorized to regulate payment systems in India, right? So again, we moved from old paper clearing system to a modern RTGS, NEFT, UPI payment system, right? With the whole idea of transactions not being done in an old paper manner, we have moved technologically. That is where the act has authorized for payment settlement system. So RBI is the center regulator of this particular system, and customer protection is of prime importance. So that again, because technically if you are paying, let's say the payment has not been done, but again the amount has been debited from your account. So again, technically this is where, but you see after 1 day or few hours or 2 days, maybe the amount is reversed back to your account. So how does it happening? Through this settlement system. Clear? So they are making sure that again, any kind of mistake in the payment settlement system should not happen, which is going to impact the consumers. Clear? So again, many questions of prelims could be framed from the particular topic. Again, one question was there. Which of the following is the most likely consequence of implementing unified payment interface, that is UPI? UPI was in news. So again, tell me in comment what would the answer. For example, mobile wallets will not be necessary for online payments. Digital currency will totally replace the physical currency in above 2 decades. No. FDI inflows will drastically increase. No. Direct transfers of subsidies to poor will become very effective. No. right? So again, the idea is ki mobile wallets will not be necessarily for online payment. So technically before UPI, what do we have? Maybe we had payment. In that we have wallets. We need to store money in the wallet, and then maybe we can use such money for online transactions. With this UPI, again, directly through your bank account, you can make such payments. So a very simple question which has been asked by examination. The next topic is scientist has urged caution over polar geoengineering projects as a climate solution. Again, important topic for the topic of environment. We have been very much aware of the idea of climate change happening. I'll take you through an example to make you understand this concept. For example, if you're having a fever, so again your body temperature is increasing, what do? You take medicine and that is going to reduce your fever. What if the medicine which you are taking, the medicine is not made in a manner which it was supposed to be done? Right? So if the medicine which is taking is for a temporary period increasing your temperature, decreasing your temperature, but in the long run, that medicine is hampering other basic organs of your body. That is something which we call as polar geoengineering, which is doing in the name of climate change. So with the climate change, what is happening? The global melting of glaciers, melting of ice is happening, sea level is rising. So what scientists have done, they are using some geoengineering techniques to temporarily solve the problem of melting of glaciers and sea level rise. And this is something which scientists have told, it is not a very sustainable process. It is going to have a lot of other challenges which is going to be associated with what we call as polar geoengineering. Clear? So let's see what are the different components and how they have been affecting. Number one is stratospheric aerosol injection. So in this, what we do, we inject sulfur dioxide in the skies so that the ability of sunlight to come in that polar region is reduced. So again, technically with this, when in stratosphere we are spreading sulfur dioxide, the rays of sunlight is reflected back without reaching the glaciers. So again, technically what would happen? Maybe the heat is not going to come up, and again melting of glaciers could be stopped. That is one such idea. But again, what are the problems which are associated with this? What if we are making, let's say, now we are placing sulfur dioxide for a temporary basis. What if we stop doing it? Don't you think it is going, if the day we stop doing it, more heat will be there and it is going to create a more greater impact of heat and melting of glaciers? That is one major thing. And then technically in winters there is no sunlight in the polar regions. So again, there is no use of this particular method. And technically in summers, the ice, we have read about albedo. So again, ice have a reflective power themselves itself. So there is no need of this particular method or a polar geoengineering method. Other method is what we call as sea curtains and sea walls. So what is this? Because what they are doing is, we know that again sea level is rising. So what they have done, they have built underwater barriers to block warm water from melting the ice sheets. For example, we have polar, let's say, ocean current system. So warm currents are moving from, let's say, the tropical, subtropical region, and then they are reaching, let's say, the polar region. So what they have done, this warm waters are leading to melting of glaciers. So they are making physical barriers so that the warm water do not reach these glaciers and do not cause the melting of glaciers. Doing this, what we are doing? We are stopping the natural waters ocean current circulation. So again, that's the problem which can come is, of course, the marine population is going to be disturbed with this creation of barrier. For example, fishes, whales, seals will lose their feeding routes. Then ocean circulation you are going to disturb because we understand the global heat is again circulated through ocean currents as well as through wind circulation. So again, if you are stopping, if you are making a barrier so that again the warm water is not reaching the polar regions, how can you expect the transfer of heat to happen? Again, that is going to disrupt the ocean, global ocean currents. And then this is, let's say, if the barriers are made of certain product or certain materials which are itself very toxic in nature. So this can lead to, again, a pollution of marine ecosystem. Then we have Sea ice management. So basically what is happening, you understand with this melting of glaciers, ice is getting melted. So we have a concept of albedo as I discussed. The white nature or the white ice is reflecting back the sunlight. So with this melting of glaciers, there is less amount of ice. So what they are doing, they are using some materials, what we call as tiny creatures, example glass, so that again, once we spread that glass-like thing in that region, uh, the reflective capacity of the light from those surfaces is going to increase. And that is how temporarily they are going to reduce the effect of sunlight in terms of those melting of glaciers. What if the sheets or the glasses which you are using is again trapping more heat in some situation? That is a possible solution. And there are a lot of marine, let's say, creatures who are surviving, and if they consume these microbeads, it is going to harm them. For example, zooplankton, right? So that is how. And again, if let's say these beads start to absorb more heat, they are going to take up or make up ice melting more faster. We have basal water removal. So again, what exactly is happening over here in this particular geoengineering method? Melting of glaciers is happening. So again, or maybe we're telling ice sheets are moving, and that is leading to sea level rise. Why ice sheets are melting? Because let's say if this is a layer of ice, and below this is how ice has melted. So if there is water beneath the ice, so that through this water, ice is going to melt and enter and move out from that particular region. What if I remove the water from here? The friction is going to reduce and the ice will stay intact over that particular area. That is something what we call as basal water removal. So again, what we are doing, below ice, the water is removed through pumps, so that again ice do not float from the polar region and ice remain intact over there, and that is how we are going to solve the problem of melting and or maybe moving of ice sheets from polar regions to the other subtropical regions. So again, but this will require pumps will require energy. So again, they are basically telling that again it is not sustainable for decades and centuries. And lastly, we have ocean fertilization. So what they are doing, they are adding up certain nutrients like iron to boost the phytoplankton growth, which is again a good source of carbon dioxide absorption. But with this unnatural growth of phytoplankton, it is going to create or disrupt the entire ecosystem. It can cause harmful algal blooms, it can kill the fishes over there, it can disrupt the food chain, it could deplete the nutrients for other regions or other organisms. These are the possible ways in which we are doing polar geoengineering techniques to solve the problem of climate change which is hitting the polar regions. But again, we are also seeing that this is just a temporary problem. You are making the system more vulnerable in the coming future. So what is a possible solution? Invest more in clean energy. Try to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. So again, focus on long-term solution. These short-term solution is having some problems which is not sustainable, that this particular report has highlighted. Any question which could be framed? All of these topics are very important. The whole process which I discussed, solar aerosol injection, all maybe sea curtain, sea walls, all of the topics are very important for your prelims examination. I'll tell you through example. One question was there in the year 19, in the context of which of the following do some scientists suggest the use of cirrus cloud thinning technique and injection of sulfate aerosol into stratosphere? Why it is being used? You tell, read the options. Creating the artificial rain in some regions, reducing the frequency and intensity of tropical cyclones, reducing the adverse effects of slower wind on Earth, reducing the global warming. So again, the answer is D, the global warming, right? That's how you are going to see some such kind of important scientific terms which comes up in news, and how they get reflected in a question of prelims. The next topic is Again, the same thing as I discussed, NCRB has released a report which is talking about the increasing nature of accidental related fatalities in India. Again, same topic of GS paper number 1, population and associated issues, and the topic of health as well. Let's look at what are the report has highlighted. Number 1, the number of accidental deaths or number of accidents which are happening in India has increased. And in fact, the deaths which are happening due to accidents has also increased. So again, approximately 4,44,104 people have died in accidents in the year 2023, which is higher than what it was in the year 2022. What are the major causes which this report has highlighted of accidental deaths? Number 1 is, the leading one is of course the traffic accidents, which is 44.6%. Almost half. Then we have sudden deaths. Again, accidental deaths not only mean traffic wala, right? Again, accidental means sudden deaths. So sudden deaths, for example, heart attacks, unknown causes are 14.3%. Due to drowning, 8.5%. Due to natural disasters, you see many times in monsoon season we see the incidences of lightning happening and leading to a loss of life. So due to lightning, 39% of 9.7% has lost their life. And due to this whole idea of climate change, again we see very warm summers or hot summers in fact, and we see incidences of heat strokes. So again, that is leading to 12.5% of deaths. So these are the major causes of accidental deaths in India as per this particular report. This report has also talked about, if we start to discuss about road accidents in India, the number of cases as far as road accidents is concerned has increased. And in fact, the deaths which are happening due to these road accidents is 1,73,000. That is 1.6% from 1,71,000, which was earlier. It is again increasing. It is telling, and where of these most accidents are happening? It is happening majorly in the residential areas, 30.2% of such accidents, and near schools and colleges, 7.1%. Clear about road accidents data. Then in terms of railway accidents, again approximately 24,678 accidents have been reported, and the death toll is approximately 21,803. Again, these kind of data you can use. Maybe if we talk about railway as a topic of infrastructure, you can use such points. Maybe if I talk about NHAI or any question around the topic of, let's say, infrastructure or road safety, you can use such data in your answers. Then in terms of accidents happening in cities, among the majority of cities, 53 major cities have been highlighted in this particular report, which is seeing higher number of accidental death rate, which is 41% compared to the national average of 31.9%. So again, 53 cities have more accident death rate as compared to the national average of 31.9%. And the worst affected cities are Mumbai, Pune, Bengaluru, Delhi, and Jaipur, right? So what could be the possible reason why accidents are happening in these regions only? That is something which you should analyze. Then as far as the state-wide trends are concerned, maximum road accidents are happening in Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu. There is a very rare case of Andaman, Nicobar, Jharkhand, Punjab, Bihar, UP. Accident caused more deaths than injury. Technically, what would happen? If accident is happening, accident may not many times lead to death. If in these cities, if we are seeing that again more deaths than injuries, it is again highlighting what? The healthcare problem in such cities. If healthcare is not good, that could be one of the reason why injuries are not cured, and that is leading to death, right? So that is something which this report has again highlighted. Then as far as reasons and causes of road accidents in India are concerned, this report has told overspeeding, 61.4% of deaths, that is the biggest cause of road accidents in India. Then dangerous driving, overtaking components is 23.7%. Other causes includes poor weather, maybe the visibility factor, alcohol and drug consumption, and then driving maybe 1.7%. Animal crossing, man-animal conflict, raising again causing accidents. Other followed by mechanical defects, sudden braking, bad roads, etc. But again, the leading cause is overspeeding and overtaking and dangerous driving, as far as accidental, maybe road accidents in India is concerned. So again, these kind of news gives you, or these kind of report gives you some datas. So again, ponder upon such datas, analyze, understand why some region have more, why some region have less, what those regions are doing that is leading to less number of incidences of suicides or accidental deaths in such cities, what could be incorporated as a best practices by other cities. That is something which you are going to learn up. And in general, in certain questions of paper number 1, 2 and 3, you are going to use this as a point validation to substantiate your points whenever you are referring to such types of pointers in your answers. Clear? Then the place in news, that is Philippines. Again, earthquake of magnitude 6.9 have hit the region. That is why it was in news. So Philippines is basically a country or island country in the Southeast Asia, in the Western Pacific region, which is bordered. Again, you try and understand कि whenever a place is in news due to some reason, and that is something which you're going to remember, because many times they have asked around place or map based question from Southeast Asian region, the north to south countries, east to west countries. That makes such kind of place very important as far as examination is concerned. So basic features: the bordering areas, Philippine Sea is in the eastern side, Celebes Sea in the southern side, we have Sulu Sea in the southwest direction, we have South China Sea in the west and northern direction. Certain geographical features: highest point is Mount Apo, major rivers, the climate of that particular region. You're going to read and you're going to remember. That is how such places in news, with this everyday coverage, you're going to remember, or you're going to understand what all important places were in news, and you need not to struggle in the next year that again which were the important places which I have to read for the examination. Moving on to the quick updates for the day. So very first, again, this was in news a lot of time, a lot of things have happened around the special intensive revision voter list which was conducted in Bihar. So again, this revision list has successfully been completed. So that is why it was in news. So as per the Election Commission, under Article 324, Election Commission has been empowered to register the voters in India. Article 326 talks about adult suffrage, which is 18 plus years, right? And again, Representation of People Act of 1950 talks about legal framework for electoral rolls. Exercising all of these constitutional basis, Election Commission went for special intensive revision. So again, basically they were trying to figure out who are the voters, eligible voters in Bihar. So for that particular purpose, they made a house-to-house verification exercise, and the aim was to enroll all possible eligible citizens in the electoral roll. So again, basically, it is highlighting the integrity of an electoral roll, which is foundation for free and fair elections. And again, it is trying to eliminate any duplication of entries and any errors in the voter list. Again, one question for you. Tell me, right to vote is what kind of right? It is a constitutional right or a legal right? Tell me in the comment section. Very important question. The next topic is weighted average call rate. Again, you must have understood many times call rate. What is call rate? Let's say in a day-to-day business, bank A is falling short of money, and for a very one-day period of time, it wants money. So again, it can go to any other bank and ask for a temporary one-day period of loan. The rate at which other bank is going to give money to bank number 1 is called as call rate. Again, in a particular day, there are multiple transactions or multiple loans which are taken by banks to handle and to manage their balance sheet. So again, the weighted average of all such rates as per the loans is called as weighted average call rate. So this is how maybe the bank A is going to bank B for an override basis, and again the average rate of the entire day loans and the which rate it has taken up is called as weighted average call rate. So again, it is basically depending on the call money market transactions. It is signifying what? It is telling it is an indicator of short-term cost of funds. Example, if call rate is very high, it is telling what? It is talking about that again, there is less liquidity in the market. Money is more costlier. If we have less or low weighted call rate, it is telling what? Market may there is more liquidity, so that is why the call rate is less. So again, it is also talking about the liquidity in the market. So RBI again is using this particular weighted average call rate for operating target for monetary policy, and specifically managed via repo and reverse repo rate operations. The next topic is siphon powered thermal desalination system. So it is recently developed by IISc scientists. What is it? Maybe whenever we go to sea, what do we see? Water everywhere, not a drop to drink, because we cannot drink maybe the salty water. So with this technique, which has been developed by IISc scientists, they are trying to make drinkable water from these salty water. So that technique is basically called as siphon powered thermal desiltation system. How exactly it is happening? Sea water is given to a siphon. A siphon is basically just like a pipe, and that pipe is made of a specific fabric. The fabric name is called as composite siphon. It is basically a kind of a grooved metal. Water is passed through that particular pipe, or what you call as siphon, and once this the fabric of that particular pipe, it is absorbing water crystals, and once water is coming out of that siphon, it is being spread in a let's say the fabric draws salty water, and the gravity makes the continuous flow of water in that there. Then the salt is flushed before the idea of crystallization. Then there is a thin aluminum film which is heated, and the heat which is being used to heat that particular aluminum film is used through natural sunlight or any waste heat. So again, once the water enters that particular thin film of aluminum sheet, then it starts to evaporate. Then what happens? A particular sheet is covered, or a dome-like structure has been there. Whenever water vapors comes up, of course it is going to take condensation is going to happen. So whenever through this water vapor, it is going to condense in that particular structure, the water droplets which is being used, that is how we are obtaining drinkable water from those salty water. That is the basic idea, right? So the idea is sea water entering into siphon, then in that aluminum film through heat we evaporate it, then condensation happen and fresh water is generated, right? So that is why it is very important, because low cost materials are used. We are using aluminum and fabric, which is very low cost. It runs on solar power and waste heat. No again generation of heat is not required, and it is very fast and cheap efficient desiltation process. Again, very important comment. They can ask you, sometime back siphon powered thermal desiltation system was in news. It is doing what? Right? Such kind of questions could be asked in examination. Then we have Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty, MLAT. It was in news very recently, today itself. So this basically an agreement between two countries. For example, person A has committed a crime in country A. He has moved out, but again the evidences of crime are in country number B. How can country A ask country B to help and support in solving of that particular crime? And through this mutual legal assistance treaty, assistance is being provided by the other country, that is leading to the idea of justice. So again, it is basically trying to provide cross-border legal assistance in criminal matters. So again, it is helping in matters of collecting evidence, investigating and prosecution, and extradition of offenders. So India has, in India, Ministry of Home Affairs is the nodal authority of this Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty, And again, treaty can be both bilateral, multilateral, between group of countries, between two countries, as per international conventions, reciprocity principle. And as far as we have maybe this treaty with USA, Russia, France, UAE, Afghanistan, Turkey, and many other countries. Recently it was in news because of Singapore, right? So basically it's helping India to tackle the problem of terrorism, cybercrime, money laundering, and extradition of certain offenders who have done a crime in India, but again has moved out to bypass the punishment under the law in the country. Then we have International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. It was in news. So whenever these kind of organizations comes up in news, you are going to understand the mandate, their composition, whether India is a member to that particular organization or not. Such facts are important for your prelims examination. Number one, it was established in the year 1944 through Chicago Convention. It is a specialized UN agency, again coming under UN. 193 states are a party to this particular organization. India is again one of the founding members. What is the function? It is again, as aviation is concerned, basically global aviation standards is being fixed. For example, in the matters of safety, security, efficiency, sustainability. It facilitates the idea of global air mobility network. It is promoting trade, tourism, cultural exchange, and socio-economic growth through maybe civil aviation. So India role in this. So recently India has been re-elected to part 2 of this ICAO Council. That is why it was in news. It highlights India's growing role in the global aviation governance system. The next topic is remission of duties and taxes on exported products scheme. Again, assume if you are a company, you are manufacturing certain product and you are exporting that product to any foreign country. In that export process, you are charged, that company is basically charged many a times certain taxes. For example, rail tax, road tax, or maybe small duties or tax which are being taxed on that particular company. Maybe there is a possibility that again such taxes are many times seen that they could be given back once you claim or file some return. This was something, and again through this scheme we are making sure that all of these duties which are being charged to companies who are exporting certain products in the export process, that is going to be given back to them. That is a basic idea of remission of duties and taxes on exported products. So again, it was launched in the year 21 by Minister of Consumer Commerce and Industry, and it has been extended till 2026, again trying to boost the idea of exports from country. So again, basically reimbursement of taxes, duties, levies at central, state and local levels, not refunded under other mechanisms. It has been refunded only through this particular scheme to boost the idea of export competitiveness, and it covers taxes incurred in manufacturing and distribution of exported goods, and again whole idea of promotion of what we call as exporters in global markets. Then we have infectious bovine rhinotracheous. Again, a vaccine has been done. Basically, whenever, let's say, cattle or cows, they are catching a disease, for example, cold or flu, that is affecting their respiratory tract, that is affecting their gallbladder area, and that has been prime cause of what we call as less milk production. It is hampering the reproductive health of the cows, bovines, and that is why this vaccine has been made, which is going to help cure cows or cattle from such basic viral diseases, right? That is the basic idea. So India has for the very first time made its Raksha IBR vaccine, which has been launched. It is basically a DIVA marker vaccine. What is a DIVA marker vaccine? There are multiple cattle in the country. So with this DIVA marker, the veterinary doctors are going to maybe see that which cattle have been vaccinated and which cattle are not vaccinated, right? Again, developed by immunologists, and it tackles the whole idea of infertility, abortions, reduced milk productivity in cattle due to this particular disease, which is again an inflammation of upper respiratory tract of the cattle, and the virus name is bovine herpes virus, that is VOHV1, and it affects the reproduction and milk yields in animals. That is why it was in news. Again, such maybe topics, again very important from prelims topic of, because we read about basic biology, basic sciences, That is how this question could be asked. Then international health regulations, IHR, it was in news. So again, it is a legally binding agreement as per the World Health Organization. 196 countries are legally obligated to sign this international health regulations, because many times we have seen that again, health, because with COVID-19, what we have seen, it was a pandemic situation. So at an international level, we should have a global consensus कि for certain health matters, how we are going to have a regulation of that particular thing. And that is being done through this international health regulations, which is trying to prevent, protect, control, and respond to international disease spread. Again, balancing the whole idea of health safety without disrupting trade, because before what we have seen, people used to travel in ships, and in that time there was a outbreak of cholera, right? If we did not had, and again people were done, quarantine was there. So we need to have an international level of agreement that again for such outbreaks, what are the rules, regulations, and standards which we are going to follow to tackle that particular situation, right? So again, the origin is something which is back to 19th century quarantine rules with the whole idea of cholera break, which I discussed. It was created to control diseases spread via trade and travel. Recently, the 2024 amendments have been done, few more regulations have been added, and that is why it was in news. It is basically trying to strengthen the global coordination and response to the situations of pandemic at a global level. Clear? So with this, we come to the end of today's discussion. All important questions of prelims which could be framed from the news which I have discussed will pop up in your screen. It is very important that you solve all those questions. Please post your answers in the comment section. That is how it is going to create a competitive spirit around all students who are watching this initiative by Vision IS. Lastly, Vision IS has come up with a digital current affairs platform, which is a one-stop solution for all current affairs issues. Go and navigate the website. It is certainly going to help you a lot in terms of your current affairs preparation. So till the time, thank you very much and all the very best.